We happy? Vincent? We happy?
Yeah, we happy.
You're late to work, who gives a fuck? It's your life, bitch! Fuck you, boss, I'm late! I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. What you gonna be doing about it? I said I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. You gonna fire me? There's no one else here, bitch! Late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late, I'm late. You gonna fire me? That's cute. Late, 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 late. Ah.
Which one's the best crypto asset? Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There is no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay. It's not like,
Man, thank goodness.
Is risky business.
Welcome to the HEX Late Show. It's 43OG here on with you on your Tuesday evening in Melbourne. Let me see who's here in the chat. I've had a few people, a couple of people say they can't make it tonight, so it might be just me. We'll see what happens. Let's have a look who's here. Hex Enthusiast, what's up, brother? Hookers and Cocaine, the coin. Steve Mc1966, Crypto Claz, what's up? Dingo Wolf, what's happening? Sammy, how are you, Sammy? We got Mick and David. So, what a week it's been in crypto. Actually, not too. Doesn't feel like that much has been going on. I noticed that just with the presidential election, that's the upcoming presidential election in the US, candidates are starting to talk about Bitcoin. And they're starting to talk about crypto and their policies. It's interesting because when you look at the actions of the regulatory agencies in the US, it seems very much putting up hurdles and getting people to jump through hoops getting companies to jump through hoops. I mean, just in the last week, we've seen what happened with CZ from Binance. He's stepped down and apparently going to be paying a $4 billion fine or something in that order, which is that's a lot of cashola. I wonder who gets that money. I wonder if victims of crimes of crypto get that money, or whether or whether it just goes into consolidated funds. Who knows? But this week, recently, RFK was on Peter McCormack's podcast, which I don't actually watch or listen to, but I tuned into this one because I wanted to hear what this guy had to say. And this is a clip from it where he speaks on just his ideas when it comes to crypto.
No, I was not really curious about Bitcoin. My kids talked about it all the time. My kids are very entrepreneurial and very curious, and they were, it was cutting edge for them. This is the future. But I didn't pay any attention into the trucker strike in Ottawa when I saw the Canadian government go in and shut down all the truckers' bank accounts. These were people who were never convicted of a crime, never charged with a crime, but the Canadian government used AI, facial recognition, and surveillance technologies to identify the participants in a protest that was peaceful, that was like Woodstock. It was they were exercising a right that we all assume that we have, which is the right to petition, to assemble. And their bank accounts were shut, and they couldn't pay their mortgages. They couldn't pay their the gas, the petroleum for the diesel for their trucks. They couldn't leave. They couldn't buy food for their children. I have a friend who's one of those truckers who was threatened with jail because he couldn't pay the court-ordered alimony. So I recognized at that point that that transactional freedom was important as freedom of expression.
I'll stop it there for a second. Where have we heard that before? Transactional freedom being as important as freedom of expression. I think we've all heard that before.
We have freedom of expression, but if the government then can punish you by shutting down your bank accounts without even charging you with a crime, they have the ultimate power to turn us into slaves. And, if they shut down your food supply, they throw you out of your home, they starve your children. If you say something they don't like, that's the end. So, and every power that government takes, it will, the rule is it will ultimately be abused to the maximum extent feasible. And the other rule is that nobody ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. And,
I like that. No one ever complied their way out of totalitarianism. That's something I need to repeat to my a couple of friends who I have who are teachers, who are all about the compliance.
I started looking at that and saying, here is transactional freedom is critical. And Bitcoin is the answer to that because nobody controls it. It's this incredibly elegant solution that gives us transactional freedom that allows you and freedom all over the world. You can transact it in places. I have a friend in Gaza who I was trying to send money to recently and can't leave, and is starving. And I was trying to send money and couldn't. There's no PayPal. There's no Venmo there. There's no bank accounts. And, the one way you could do it was through digital currency because you can do it through an app.
So policy-wise, you would defend the right to own Bitcoin?
Oh yeah, they should own it.
Self-custody wallets?
Self-custody wallets, self-custody nodes. And people, yeah, I'm for freedom.
Yeah, so that's it's interesting because he was, I think, running as a Democrat, but now he's running as an independent. And what he was saying there is very similar to what the gentleman from last week was saying. There was a presidential candidate. We played a clip from last week, Vivek Ramaswamy, and he was saying things along those lines where, the wallets or the keychains, self-hosted, all of that stuff just needs to be left alone. And I think it's good to hear that from people who are running for president. It's good to hear that, because I'm not always filled with confidence that the people who are vying for the power actually know what's up. But those two seem to know what's up, and I hope I hope they're able to see some of that stuff through if they get up. What else? Okay. So, what else did he say? Oh, in that podcast, he also went on to say that if he got into office, that he would pardon Julian Assange and Snowden on the first day, and then he'd have a look at Ross Ulbricht's case, and have a look at that in the first few weeks, and just look deeper into that, and try and understand whether they were just, whether that was they were just punishing him just to send a message, or whether he actually deserved that lifetime in prison with no chance of getting out. But I guess there is a chance. If you've got presidential pardons in the US, then there is always a chance. And it seems, I have to say, I've always thought, like, I don't know, but to me, the whole Ross Ulbricht thing seems very heavy-handed for someone who essentially just was writing code. And I don't think anyone wants to see us go down that path. I mean, we're already halfway down that path with the Tornado Cash people, in Europe getting tossed in jail, the developer getting tossed in jail. I mean, we don't know the details of what that was all about, but it seems, on the surface, it seems like they're, once again, the powers that be trying to send a message of that, hey, you don't want to be even writing code. And as we know, we've spoken on this before, we know that in the US, at least, code is considered free speech. So if that is the case, if code is considered free speech, then you would think that that people writing it should be allowed to write it, and it's not the writing of the code that matters, it's how that code is then subsequently used by the user. So yeah. Now, speaking of code, we have had a couple of weeks where it seems on the surface that the HEX ecosystem has been, thrown on its head. But if you sit back and assess it, you really can't come to any other conclusion apart from it's actually being set up in the best way possible. Now, mind you, right now, it is The way it looks is not the best, but I think that could possibly change. Let me just bring up Tangent. Hey, mate.
Hello. I've got that thing going on again with Echo. One sec.
No worries, mate. No worries.
Okay, cool.
I was just talking. I showed a clip of RFK and his.
I've heard, like, as in while I was making this coffee, I had the stream running. Great clip, by the way.
So I was just talking about just leading into all of the websites, the HEX websites, and I've got them here. So I'm just going to go through them one by one. This is the go.hex.com. This has been the site that people go to stake and do all the staking. Hang on, let me bring it up. Yeah, this is the website. So people used to go to this website and stake, but now none of those, you can't do any of that directly on this page. What you need to do is you either click through to go to the IPFS links, which is essentially it's a link to the same page, or the thing that I'm loving right now, I really, really love this, is the run it on your desktop option.
I've got another one for you that Ty gave me. You know, Ty from Barista. You can go into Rabby, and then you can add a DApp, and then there's a tab that's IPFS, and then you just do the exact same deal where, you know how normally when you're adding a DApp on Rabby, you just put the domain in, like with no HTTP bullshit. You do the exact same thing where it's literally just the hash. So you've actually got it up on the, I think if you scroll up, you know how it's got the IPFS hash?
Yes.
You literally just put that hash in the tab, and it adds, it downloads all the files and adds it into Rabby as a DApp. So then you've got like a more user-friendly way of running it yourself without having to like install shit and like try and work out how to do it. Rabby just does it all for you. And then you basically have the Rabby front end, which is the desktop app only, by the way, not the web app, to run any of these and any other IPFS. So if there's an IPFS front end for any of your favorite crypto protocols, you can add them in there as well. And then it gets a little special badge that says IPFS, so you know which of your dApps are normal websites and which are IPFS websites. Hashes.
That's cool, man. That's cool.
Fucking cool.
I didn't know that.
I also did not know that until Ty told me in a Twitter space very recently. Like, this was within the last couple of days.
I have to say, I'm a big fan of being able to run a server locally.
Yes.
And connecting up that way. I'm a really big fan of that. I know in this, the way it looks right now and the way it is right now, it's obviously not super user friendly. It doesn't look very, like you click on the execute file and it comes up, like if you're in Windows, it'll come up with like a warning not to run it. And are you sure you want to run this?
The worst part is not just the optics. Like, it looks terrible. It's not user friendly. It's shitter for onboarding. All those things are true. But the worst part was all the links that broke. So when PulseX got taken down and the scanner got taken down, all the links got fucked. So any protocol, any link, anything that was like geared up to be pointing towards what you would expect, like app.pulsex / this coin output or whatever, all of that shit broke. And so it was a pretty big fuck up. It was actually a very, very, very big fuck up. And now we are all like, anyone who's got protocols, anyone who's in dev teams, anyone who works with these protocols are all like frantically working to try and come up with workarounds. And even the PulseChain devs themselves are as well. I've heard, like, as in, I'm not in contact with them directly, but everyone's basically working to fix this complete fuck up. It's like a massive fuck up.
I think this is going to go to the resiliency of, this is not going to be, I think this is going to show.
It's not a long-term problem, but it was a massive short-term fuck up.
Yeah, look, fuck up would, I think the consequences were well known of what was going to happen.
Surely not. Surely not.
I'm sure they were.
If they had realized what it was going to do with breaking all the links, then they would have sort of prepared a solution or sorted that aspect of it before taking everything down. Like that, how reactive everything has been forced to be indicates to me that this was not 5,555 degree chairs. This was a total fuck up.
Maybe.
So look, we're going to work through it. Like everyone's working hard to work through it. Some things have already been resolved. Others are in the process. I'm sure that like in the long term, it's not going to be an issue, but in the short term, it's.
I mean, the scanner, for example, the scanner, I just ran the server. I ran the execution file and ran the server and just checking everything out locally. I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like on my local server.
Yeah, but that doesn't fix like how.
No, that doesn't fix that. That doesn't. No, I'm just talking about from the average user. Like what you're talking about. What is like what has broken in relation to what you're, because the average person, right? It needs a PulseChain scanner, just to check, like a block scanner, and that solution works,
every
right?
link that ever pointed anywhere that was related to these sites are all broke instantaneously. And one of the problems is that now every time the hash changes, so people can recreate those links to the IPFS ones, but then every time there's an update to the website or whatever, that link changes. So it's a fuck up, man. Like as in it's just gonna require a lot of work from everyone involved, and it's just like a pretty big step backwards in terms of.
Do you think that this is just this? Do you think this is something that we're going to be dealing with forever, or do you think that when there is some sort of resolution to these proceedings, that we might see a return to normality?
Oh, I mean, like obviously you can build around these things, but not when it's like happens and you've got like 5 minutes notice or 0 minutes notice. Like, so obviously solutions can be built to fix like or to work with how it is, but those solutions don't exist yet, and it's not good to have to try and build them in a rush. Yeah, it's just look, it's like I said, massive short-term fuck up, possibly not going to be that big a deal in the future, but like we're at the start of the hyperbull. In my opinion, you want shit to be as user-friendly as possible so that you can onboard, because people get the best benefit from getting in at the start of the hyperbull. And so throwing spanners in the works is just bad timing, like for shit to go wrong. Like there were dev teams that got their Thanksgiving completely ruined because it was like it happened literally just before Thanksgiving. So they had to like ditch on all their plans to try and fucking fix broken shit.
So what actually broke though? Like what?
Everything that links, like everything.
Can you give me an example?
So like a simple example is just like wherever someone had a link where it's like, if you want to buy this token, click here. All of that shit broke because that link was no longer correct. So like, you know how almost every coin on their website or in their socials, it's like, if you want to buy this coin, click here. And it takes you to PulseX with their currency as their output currency. All of that shit broke. But that's just one example, man. Like everything broke.
Okay.
So everything to do with the scanner, everything to do with PulseX, it was a clusterfuck. So, I mean, look, for the scanner, 9 mil already have the best scanner, but they're going to continue to have the best scanner.
So is there a lesson to be learned in all of this?
Don't take down the fucking websites without thinking it through first.
That could be one lesson
plan better. Plan better.
That could be one lesson that you learn. Could another lesson be that don't put too much faith into infrastructure that can go away at the drop of a hat? Well, for whatever reason.
Well, then that limits what you can do in crypto so significantly that we kind of might as well just go back to Bitcoin and not be on an EVM. If you're going to take that attitude of like, we can only do shit if it's like 1,000,000% robust, then you're literally just back at Bitcoin and nothing else. So like these issues of things like oracles and like DeFi having certain aspects that are like website front ends and shit like that, we're making these compromises to allow us to DeFi.
Yep.
So I don't think that's the right attitude to say, well, I mean, that is an idealist, like, hey, let's build it from the ground up, like 100% robust. But then technically we wouldn't even have crypto yet, because you would need mesh networks for the internet so that the internet can't be taken away from us, and like mesh network power grids and shit, because so like,
yeah, it's a good point. Good point. There's always going to be a weak link in the chain of what's needed.
Yeah, you can't take that like such a harsh attitude towards not being able to trust that stuff is going to stay similar to what your expectation is.
Can I give you my perspective?
If everything's built up in a way that people sort of expect it to be a certain way, like that. So in every other EVM and every other situation, it's always been that way, that you can rely on those links to stay the same.
Yeah, I get it. And yes, it's not ideal. It's not ideal.
It's pretty fucking far from ideal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I've got to say though, I am a lot happier now that I've got all those executables that I can run on every operating system that matters.
Yeah, but it would have been good.
I didn't have that before.
To promote that attitude without taking away the option for people to not. I have
a feeling that has a lot to do with this case.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Yeah. In my opinion, it is 100% under legal advice that this stuff is happening. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
like, as in it seems stupid to me for people to have theories that is not that. Like that. Yeah. That's obvious to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree 100%.
So
this would be legal. This would be legal advice that he's getting.
So I'll give you an example. Like for the go.hex.com website, I have not actually used that website in
go.hex.com.
The main HEX staking website.
Whatever. Surely you would have used it back at the start.
No, I used it back, but I haven't used that in like since
but is that because of Hadron? Yeah, so because
there was a better website, there was a better alternative out there, and do you think as we rebuild on this,
right? You couldn't do good accounting on Icosa's website.
You can do good accounting on Etherscan.
No, but on the Icosa website?
Yeah, you can do good accounting on the Icosa website.
Oh, I seem to have this recollection that you couldn't.
No, you can.
Okay.
You definitely can. You can't.
Maybe that changed or something. Maybe initially
you can't do it for someone else.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think you could do it for someone else on the go.hex.com website either. I think the only site that I can remember was that Kodiak's website, the Backup Hex website, where you could do it for someone else.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And I also believe, I've never actually done it myself. I believe that you can do it on, if you know how to do it, you can do it with Etherscan. You can use it running contract functions on Etherscan.
Yep. But remember, trying to keep it like, that's fine for us, but
yeah,
I always try to keep in mind like the noob user, or not even the noob, just like
the noob is not going to run.
That's been, sometimes people are in crypto for years and still would be too scared to go and interact with contracts directly. Like, I'm sure there are people out there that have been in crypto for literally.
You do not want to be going to. You do not want to go end a stake if you don't know what you're doing. Or using Etherscan. You do not want to do that.
Of course, yeah.
Because you need a stake ID. You need, like, there's some info that you need to know how to retrieve.
That's my point.
Yeah, and you can't, like, that's not a noob thing. That's something that you need to. There's some steps involved, and you need to go and read the blockchain, and then get that info, and then plug it into end of stake. It's doable.
So that's my point. If we assume there's still a cohort of people that require it to be somewhat user-friendly. Like crypto's already harder than normal shit. Like it's already less user-friendly than using an iPhone or using your internet banking. So to take it another step further away from that, where it's like, oh, just go and learn how to interact with contracts on Etherscan or download this IPFS shit. It's like, yeah, like, no, that's not how this is gonna, that's not the direction we need to move in.
Yeah. Yep.
For noobs, for adoption, if you care about adoption.
For noobs.
If you're happy with it just being like 20 of us counter trading each other, then yeah, let's
no one wants
just
that.
Let's just put the whole thing on the dark net and just go there and do it. Like, but yeah,
that's not what we want. Yeah, once again, I think it's just making sure that, making sure that all bases are covered. But like I was saying, I was going through all the sites that you can now download the software from.
Yep.
I've only been running this software now. I haven't been to any websites. I'm just running everything locally now. So this one is the PulseX, all the PulseX stuff. So you can actually run the server locally on your desktop.
Like the nerd in me would be pumped as fuck if this
I'm
was
pumped.
Like the nerd in me would be pumped.
Yeah.
If it wasn't, if this was an option, because then I would be like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna do it the hardcore crypto way, cypherpunk fucking life, and the normies still have the ability to just. By the way, Pangang has put all these front ends back up, so normies. Still
and I was going to say that. I was going to say that. Like it's sort of a bit, but like we shouldn't be getting too caught up on this particular domain.
But people have been scammed hard. So like quite a few people have had their wallets drained purely from the confusion of not knowing. So one, I trust the Tangang, but everyone else shouldn't. Like, so when we say, the Tangang's got the
pretend to be a
front ends
Tangang
up,
member,
it's like
someone can go and pretend to be a Tangang member and scam people. Like the thing about trusting, the thing you don't trust in crypto, you verify.
But the problem is, people already used that window of confusion to scam and drain wallets. So several people got their wallets drained going to the wrong HEX shit. And then once they got scammed, other people came out and said that they also got scammed. So and then there were other people saying, yeah, I'm in this particular chat group over here, and someone said they got their wallet drained as well. So like that window of confusion allowed scammers to get, and consistently all of these people said they had been in crypto for quite a long time. They were aware of all the like regular shit that you don't do. Like they were aware of all the, you don't give your fucking seed phrase to like fake tech support. Most people on the DMs are scammers. Like they were aware of all of those standard golden rules, and they still got drained. And it was because of this window of confusion.
If we're onboarding noobs, I'm trying to delve.
These aren't noobs, man.
No. If we're going to be onboarding noobs, why can't we onboard them to use use executables, or use like? Why does it have to be the model of the internet, using a website? Like why is that?
I think you're missing my point. It's the sudden shift without. So it's fine if that was the way that people were being onboarded, and it's fine if they maintained the redundancy of having both. But the fact that it was just this sudden shift where away from what people were expecting, and with no real
no time
guidance on what the potential risks are and what was going to and this is not supposed to sound hypercritical of, it's just the facts, right? It's just what I've observed of the clusterfuck of what happened. And it's like, if there had been warning, if there had been guidance, if there had been like better planning, if there had been workarounds already built to handle some of these issues, then it probably would have been fine.
Out of interest,
yeah.
what do you think the community's reaction would have been to having time to consider that the sites were going to come down?
So before we move on, I just want to be really clear that I'm not saying that the current structure is a problem. I'm not saying that this is like, oh, well, this won't work long term. That's not what I'm saying. Like, as in, because this can work probably. We just have to wait and see if we can build around some of these problems. But the main problem was the way that it was done. Like, and yeah. But sorry, what were you about to say?
Do you think if people had the time, like if the community was said, okay, this needs to happen, these things need to come down, right? You've got like, I don't know, 6 weeks. Do you think that would have been better? Or do you think, I mean, like, because you're saying that's sort of what I'm hearing from you, that the best thing would have been is if the community had had time to, do something about it in advance. But from just anecdotally, from what I see in the community, when anything happens, there's a whole lot of just complaining and bitching and moaning about everything that goes down. So I just wonder whether
the devs could have ignored the like unnecessary complaining that's just like not relevant and taken notice of people.
But everyone else who's on Twitter and everything else is sort of like, don't get me wrong. What you're saying,
maybe all the complaining would have made them like maintain the redundancy for longer, or like sometimes the complaining can be signal, right? Like even if the people don't know what the fuck they're talking about, you do get an idea of people's the social sort of response to something. Even if it's a dumb response, it's still the social response. So there can be some signal in that noise. Even if like we know that like a lot of people are fucking retarded, like as in that's become apparent for years now in crypto and the general world. I am not claiming that I could have like, I'm not saying, oh, he should have hired me to like head up the fucking migration and then it would have all been smooth as silk. That's not what I'm saying. Like, I'm not claiming to have all the answers.
And that's what I was, because, sometimes I'm just wondering, I'm just playing the devil's advocate, trying to see it from every angle.
But I am saying that there are people out there that could have helped, like that could have
guided the
even
transition.
though it's not me, even though I'm not the guy that would have made this thing smooth as fucking butter, there are people out there that probably could have. Look, I guess no point. It's done now. Lots of this stuff is outside of our control.
It is. It's totally all outside of our control. And the community. This is the thing about the HEX community. They do. I mean, you just said yourself, the Tang Gang, within a very short amount of time, had backup websites for every single one of those.
Almost immediately.
So that goes to show you that the Tang Gang is a legit set of people doing stuff in the community. For anyone out there who thinks otherwise, regardless of what you think of meme coins, you can't argue with the fact that these guys have actually done stuff and, got it done quickly for the benefit of the community. There's no
but keep in mind though, that so the ones that have been put up by Tang Gang, and I think there's a couple other people that also put front ends up, those are not being listed on the main website. So if you were navigating this cautiously, you would go to the main website and you'd be like, okay, well, these ones aren't mentioned anywhere here, so they're probably scams, or at least like I can't risk trusting them. And so it's like I'm trying to have this separation between people who are engaged and are paying attention, who are either in the Tang Gang or who are on Twitter every day. That's one set of people, but then you've got a much larger set of people that are not in that set of people, who if they're doing like crypto best principles, like best practices, then this whole thing just becomes increasingly difficult. One funny comment that I saw, it's funny because it's tragic, is they said, if I showed you, if you were onboarding like if you were being onboarded, into HEX or PulseChain, and the person onboarding you said, yeah, here's the link where you need to go. And then they sent the fucking IPFS link, which is just like this mess of like characters and numbers. And they were like, would you click on that shit? And the answer is hard no. Like, that's what scam links normally look like, is just this garbled bullshit that's not a proper human readable domain, deliberately to obfuscate what the real shit is. So
this community is where the rubber hits the road for people with not very much knowledge in crypto and learning. Like this is where I've learned so much in the last 3 or 4 years. I've learned so much, and you know, I think that as people come in and they're noobs, they don't have to learn about crypto in the same way that we learnt about it. They don't have to. They can learn about it in a different way. They don't have to go through like think about this. Someone coming into crypto these days, they're immediately, if they come the right way, down the right path, they're immediately going to be in DeFi. They don't have to mess around on exchanges trading. They can immediately come to DeFi. And that's completely different to what was going on in 2017 or 2016, 17, 18.
Yeah, but like,
so it's a different path. It can be a different path for people.
That doesn't negate my point. Like, it seems to me like you're trying to sugarcoat this, bro. Like, my main point is, like, if it had been done in a way where it was educated in that way, so that you're educating people and then giving them the tools to be able to do true DeFi, I think that would be fine. But throwing people into the deep end when they don't know how to swim, motherfuckers are going to drown. And that's exactly what happened. So I think, like,
I don't think I'm trying to sugarcoat it. From my real lived experience of going through this and dealing with it, it's all been pretty fucking simple. Like, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything.
You are not the cohort. You are not representative of the cohort that we are talking about here.
I understand that. I understand. But if you put it this way, if you trust, like, your argument is that the website, the HEX.com website.
Dude, I'm not arguing. I'm just dropping observation.
No, observation. Your observation is that it would be better if people just went to pulsex.com and they found the trading, like the interface just there in front of their eyes, right? So the argument essentially is that the trust in the domain, right? So if you can trust the domain, you can then also trust links on the domain. So it's only one extra click.
I guess it's important to not conflate suggestions that I'm making as to how things may have been able to be done better with my main points. They are separate. So things that I've thrown in there saying, like, this would have been better, this would have been better, this could have been mitigated. Like, if you're going to do this, then you should really do that. They're all sort of like, that's commentary from me. But my main point is, this is what happened. These were the consequences. Broken links, people getting scammed, like people who were like reasonably scam proof getting scammed, all of this stuff.
How did they get scammed?
And then conclusion, that was a clusterfuck. And
I mean, that's people getting scammed that always sucks. Like, what actually happened? How did they get?
But people
can we at least, like,
people who understood all the golden rules of how to not get scammed in crypto.
The reason I want to know how is because I want not only me to know what not to do, because if you're saying if the people who shouldn't have got scammed, then that means I could also get scammed. It also means our listeners could get scammed. So let's give them.
Yeah, I don't know the exact details, but it was some bad link for HEX, the HEX.com thing. I think that's the best that they've got so far. Look, this all happened very recently, so they're still investigating with the people who got scammed. They're looking at their transactions and stuff like that. The scammers were quite sophisticated. They used obfuscation techniques so that it would actually be hard to see how the scam actually occurred. So there was like there was obfuscation in there to make it look like that the problem was, I think it was cow swap. It made it look like cow swap was how they got scammed when it was actually not that. Like, so that's still being investigated. But basically it was like bad link wallet draining shit because the hex.com website wasn't there anymore and they went to the wrong shit. I think someone also said there was a wallet draining link. If you go to CoinGecko, obviously don't do this. If you go to CoinGecko, then you go to Hex and then you click the link that they have there, that also drains your wallet at the moment. So, some shit like that. So yeah, we don't know exactly but people got drained. Like they've sent, because they freaked out, panicked, and sent their wallet addresses to people, like to entire groups. They were like, my shit's just been stolen. This is the wallet address. Can you guys help me? And lots of people who understand on-chain have gone through and started looking at it, and they all agree, yeah, the funds are fucking gone, but we just need to work out how it happened.
Yep. Now that sucks. This sucks.
Yeah, man, it fucking sucks. It's a clusterfuck. The only good news is the keys to the castle basically got handed over to 9 mil. Like 9 mil's basically going to have be running all the shit that you would have normally expected to be like the critical infrastructure that would normally be run by the founder or the founding team or the dev team of the project or whatever. So scanner, DEX, fucking what else? I guess NFT marketplace, even though that's not really generally one that the founding team do. And then was there something else? Oh, I think they're also doing a GMX fork, but like again, that's not necessarily like a founding thing. But the scanner, definitely the scanner and the most dominant DEX are normally the infrastructure that, or actually, I guess on other chains, DEXs are not actually necessarily by the chain founding team, but on PulseChain, it certainly was meant to be. PulseX was meant to be the premium DEX experience on PulseChain. But now the front end doesn't exist. It doesn't have V3 concentrated liquidity. It doesn't have yield farming, like single asset staking pools. So Pussycat Farms have come in with the single asset pools and the yield farms. 9 mil have got the DEX with V3 liquidity and the best block scanner. So like people thought that I was exaggerating when I said that the Tangang was like coming in and kicking off the bull market. People said I was like delusional. The Tangang literally has all the most important infrastructure.
I think that was me. I don't think it was people.
No, there were people in there was one dude. There was one dude solo in the comments as well that was also saying like you're delusional. But I'm like, just look at the facts, bro. Like, look at what is going on here. So yeah, that's the only good news. Like the good news for the Tangang is it's like left the door wide open to come in and like basically take over the game. But then I don't think that outweighs, like I get pumped for that because I'm a fan of the Tangang, but I don't think that good news outweighs the negatives that have occurred and still continue to occur until we build around it. But yeah, we'll get there.
So someone in the chat saying, so PulseX is worthless now. No.
No. That's not true. You can run worthless. It's just the second. It's only the second best DEX now. Like as in 9 mil will have the most important DEX on PulseChain.
I think people were using petitions anyway.
That's different. That's a DEX aggregator. So petitions actually routes through everything. Like they actually.
So you're talking about providing liquidity, right?
Although you know that concentrated liquidity, like you can't mathematically say exactly how much more efficient it is because it depends on a bunch of different variables. But people estimate that it's somewhere between 30 to 50 times more efficient, right? So when Petius goes to look at where to route people's swaps, the V3 liquidity that's on 9 mil is going to absolutely dominate those paths. So in terms of the competition, you would need, so PulseX and PulseX like V2, their LPs would need to be 30 to 50 times larger for the same pair for them to attract more of the part of the route that a smart DEX aggregator will route the path. So it's game over for basically any other DEX in terms of getting the volume, and volume is king when it comes to providing liquidity. So, and by the way, this is coming out in a matter of days. Like they've already got, it's actually already live, and they've got a small group of people, which I'm not a part of, who are actively testing it. And so probably within the next 72 hours, V3 DEX will exist on 9 mil. And then it's game over for every other DEX, including PulseX, in terms of volume and because of that capital efficiency, you can't compete against it. It's like no longer is the LP spread out from 0 to infinity. It's like as close to the price as you want it to be. And obviously each user decides that for themselves. So, and I'm not hypothesizing here. It's like, you just look at what's happened on every other
so what's happening
that's
on
ever
Ethereum,
gone from V2 to V3.
What's happening on Uniswap?
Well, it's not what is happening. It's what happened at that transition, because they've had V3 for a really fucking long time.
So what did happen? Everything
V2 basically ceases to be relevant in terms of being able to get fees. Like in terms of you just can't compete with that level.
So
of
people will
efficiency.
people will pull their liquidity from the V2 pool.
Yeah. If you're not being benevolent, like, so the only people who would stick with a V2 are benevolent entities who want there to be LP that covers all price ranges. People who like have a specific hard-on to support a specific DEX, like because it's their DEX or it's their friend's DEX or whatever, might be another reason why people might stay with much less financial. So from a purely financial incentive point of view, there's no reason why you would stay with a V2 LP. You're just not going to be able to compete. So even if that estimate that I gave, 30 to 50 times more capital efficient, let's take the lower bound of that and halve it. Say it's like 15, and then let's be even more extreme and say it's only 10 times more efficient, which is now getting pretty ludicrous on the conservative end of the spectrum. You would need, so 10 grand in a V3 LP would be like 100 grand. Do you know how many coins have got 100 grand size plus LPs on PulseChain? Like nearly none. Like it's like countable. Like, so it's just game over, man. Like, as in it's, it really is game over for the LP game. Yeah, it's exciting for 9 mil and anyone who's like in that ecosystem.
So will the other DEXs implement the version 3 contract?
I mean, they can try, like, as in they should. If they want to remain competitive, then yes, absolutely, they are forced.
I mean, whatever 9 mil are forked, they can fork too, or they can just fork what 9 mil. They can fork the 9 mil one if they want.
It's not as easy as it sounds, but yeah, they're welcome to try. Like, as in, like you said, like you're saying, it's all open source code. I mean, the question would be, why haven't they already, or why haven't they said that they're going to? It'll be interesting to see. Because obviously this competitive advantage makes 9 mil so dominant, right, that it really forces people to have to implement V3 or just completely fade into irrelevance. So it will be interesting to see how quickly which DEXs step up and try to implement a V3, and how long it takes them. That could actually be quite a good litmus test of whether these people actually have good devs or not, and whether they actually have the competency and the ability to pivot and move quickly and innovate. So DEXs that don't do that, you could maybe say, well, they're just dead in the water, right? Like, and by the way, you don't have to take my word for this. You're going to see this play out in terms of how dominant the V3. Like, if you don't want to like go and pick up a crypto history book and see that that's literally exactly what happened every time V3 was introduced on any other chain. So you can either look at history or you can just wait and see what happens. But that's how it's going to play out.
V3 was introduced on Ethereum 2 years ago on Uniswap.
I don't know the exact date, but yeah, that sounds legit.
And then everyone else would have had to wait until this year right? All the other chains. Am I right in thinking
Oh,
that?
because
or-
they had that. They had those. Like,
Unless it was
called? Like, where you
Uniswap
have
themselves.
that. Like, you've got that
2 year.
certain MIT license or whatever where you can't use the. It's not open. It's not open for everyone to use until a certain time frame, like 1 to 2 years or whatever. By the way, that is why PancakeSwap and other dexes stayed on V2. But notice that when you're on another chain that Uniswap has decided not to go and compete on, then it's a fair playing field where everyone's on V2, which is basically what PulseChain has been so far, right?
Yeah.
Everyone has been on V2. So it's a fair playing field. It only becomes disproportionate when people are doing fist fights and one dude rocks in with a 9 mil, right? So you could see what happened on other chains, that everyone, if there is an ability to use V3, everyone goes and uses V3 because it's just so much more efficient. Then you get it's better for everyone. You get better trade execution, less slippage. The providers make more fees. Like, it's just dominant.
Clintrons is saying, I know that Rags and Heartbeat are planning to launch a V3 DEX shortly also. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if a few don't get launched, in the next few months.
So what I've noticed is that, like, so when Petitions came out with this amazing smart router, I'm a big fan of Petitions, and they're not even technically in the Tang gang, right? Like, they lightly lean in, but they're not considered to be. They don't consider themselves to be, and we don't consider them to be, like, hardcore Tang gang affiliated, right? But I still support the shit out of them because their shit is amazing. Since they started to exist with this smart router, I have heard other people saying that they are going to do something that is the same or better, and I've yet to see it. So my attitude towards all of these things, whenever anyone says, oh, we've got this thing that's coming out or whatever, I'm like, that's cool. I love competition. Show me. Like, I don't want to hear about what you're about to do. Like, how long did we wait? And I don't want to, like, cast shade on specific projects, but how excited did we get for certain things that just still haven't come out yet? So fuck it, I'll just say it. Like, that HEX Scout wallet?
Yeah.
And I've been told that they're, like, right on the verge of releasing, but unfortunately that's what I've been hearing for, like, literally for months.
I heard that 3 months, 4 months ago, but they didn't do a sack.
It's just an example, by the way. No shade. And I'm still keen for their product.
Yeah,
when they bring it out, I'll be using it. But I'm just saying, in this ecosystem and in the broader crypto space, a lot of people, it's easy to say, we're going to do this. It's a lot harder to say, hey, we have done it. You can actually use it and it's fucking dope.
Yeah.
So this is true. I encourage all of these people that say that they're doing cool shit that's going to compete either against Petitions or against 9 mil. That's great. Like, I will help you promote it, but I need to see it. Like, I'm not going to be promoting it when it's like you saying that you're close to deploying it. You know what I mean?
Speaking of deploying, and I don't want to give this project because I don't know. I don't know if anyone's looked into it. Anyone's done a code review on it, but I put it in our
just
chat.
Truth died it.
So did you look at the Pulse wallet at all? Did you see that?
I saw your dude. That got me excited. I saw your messages in the chat that said that it could have ZK tech for privacy.
Yeah. So I'll just be very clear. I haven't used this.
Same.
I don't know. I don't know of anyone who has used it. So I don't know if the code's been reviewed by anyone that we trust. All big I don't knows, but if these guys, their website looks nice, and if these guys have done what they say they've done, which is fork Rabby wallet and make some changes, make it more privacy focused. And that, from what I understand, I'll just go into the website under docs and under offerings here and privacy and security focused. and I'll come down to here. This part here was interesting to me. The ZK snark stuff. Pulse Wallet is a digital wallet that prioritizes privacy and security, and employs a cutting-edge technology called ZK Snark to ensure that user transactions remain confidential and untraceable. Another key feature of the Pulse Wallet is its use of shielded wallet. Shielded wallet is a tool that allows users to conceal their wallet addresses and transaction data from the public blockchain. When users transfer funds into a shielded wallet, they are actually being moved into a collective pool. Users receive an encrypted note as proof of ownership, which is stored in their personal encrypted storage on the blockchain. Only users with access to their shielded wallet's private key can decrypt and access these notes to see the values in the wallet. The hash representing the note is stored in a common pool that contains hashes of all the shielded wallets in the system. This sounds similar to Tornado stuff.
When they did the layer 2 shit, the Nova shit.
Yeah,
like
the ZK money, the ZK money one. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. So by the way, you know how I said I also haven't used it? I did start looking into this though. And so I watched an interview with where Corey Costa had the main dev. Oh, so you watched that one? I actually struggled to understand some of the stuff that he was saying. And when I turned the subtitles on, it was worse. Like the subtitles were like, I thought maybe the subtitles will give me what he's saying, but the subtitles obviously is doing like speech to text. So if you can't understand it, it's likely that tech is worse. And so, but the reason I watched that video was I wanted to know, so there were certain questions that I had, and those questions were not asked or answered in that video. And that was like,
what questions?
Basically, I wanted to know, what platforms is it available on currently? Like Mac, Linux, Windows, mobile phone, Android, iOS. Like which platforms, if any, is it available on? Is it even available to use? Was one of my questions.
Okay, and I believe it is. I believe
so it's able to be used with all the ZK shit and everything.
Well, Safari not yet, and Firefox. So it's not on Mac yet.
Okay. So Google Chrome, and then when you click on mobile. Oh, see, I didn't see this website.
Yeah, so
I didn't see this. I went to their Google Telegram. Chrome, I watched Corey Costa's stream, and I looked
essentially at all the Chromium browsers. So Chrome, Brave, Edge, Opera. I was about to say Opera.
And so it's a fold down thing. It's an extension.
So
it's a browser
extension. On mobile, it's mine. It looks like it's on both.
What the fuck? That's sick.
But as far as Firefox is not out yet, and Safari, so that's on your Mac.
Oh, and then my other question was, so I've obviously I've fallen in love with, for lack of a better phrasing, with how Rabby and DBank are by the same team. So everything that gets listed on DBank automatically gets listed on Rabby. Now, one of the coins in the Tang Gang, which is Pussycat Life, their token is Pussy. They have an account or a relationship or whatever with DBank where they have been able to reliably get all the Tang Gang shit listed. And by the way, I guess that offer could perhaps be made more broadly to anyone that's in the PulseChain ecosystem who's not actively hostile to the Tang Gang. I'm sure that Pussycat team would be willing to get your shit listed on DBank. And then that means that when you go into the Rabby wallet, all of your assets are actually there. Tokens, NFTs, protocols, like the Pussycat yield farms are on DBank now. So you can see all your assets when they're in the yield farm and shit like that, which is quite impressive for such a young yield farm. And things like 9 mil, like the 9 mil DEX is already on DBank thanks to Pussycat. And so what's my point? My point is that hit them up. Like hit up the Pussycat Telegram if there's something on PulseChain that you'd like to see in your Rabby wallet. And my question for this wallet is, can they tap into that DBank list of protocols and things so we don't have to go through the process of like either having nothing showing in terms of assets and their dollar values, or having to go through the process of like rebuilding all of this data when DBank is already the king of like basically having nearly everything. So like DBank has been surprisingly well receiving of like PulseChain additions, even down to NFT collections that the Tang Gang just literally gives out for free. So like the free mint open edition thing. So you'd think that they would be like, guys, this was a free NFT that was like given away. We're not adding it because it's probably not even going to have a secondary market. They just add it. So for anyone with OCD, it's pretty cool to have like all your shit showing in a wallet. And whereas I care a lot about privacy, I'm a greedy motherfucker and I want it all. So I want privacy and I also want to see all my assets and shit. So
I think you can always, I think you can add things into pretty much any wallet, but you need to go and get the contract. You need to go get the address.
But what about dollar values? So like, it might let you add the token and you have the token balances and easy to click them to send them and shit, but the dollar values and stuff. So Rabby has become sick, man. Like, that's one thing I really like about Rabby is that relationship to DBank. So they're my questions. They're my questions you've actually answered one of my questions because their website actually shows what platforms it's available on. Thank you very much for that. That's awesome.
And the question I would have is, what, you know, because they have gone on about the privacy aspects of the Pulse wallet. Mm-hmm. So my question would be, can you go into a bit more detail about how exactly, you know, your wallet is more private than the other? And I think he sort of
good point.
Touched on this in that interview, but I like you, I didn't quite catch, catch the whole thing.
Dude, holy shit. This is on mobile. The fuck? Dude, that we need to promote the fuck out of this thing. Like,
I want to, before I promote the fuck out of it, I just want to get some code review stuff. You know what I mean? Like I want some people to throw their eyes over it and just
Well, I mean, like, so remembering that, I guess on mobile it's extra dangerous because you're not behind a hardware wallet, but on desktop, remember that the wallet is just the software that's allowing you to interface. Your signatures still need to be signed on the device. So, and
whether or not you can even use that hardware wallet with this, I don't even know if you can yet. Like, that's another really important question. What hardware wallet support? Well, I don't even know if it has any hardware wallet support at the moment. I think it's just like a wallet, standalone wallet that you can either import your seed phrase or private key into, or generate a seed phrase and a new wallet from it. But I didn't see, like, I did install it, but I haven't like done anything with it or used it in any, like, but when I installed it, I did see that there was no option to add a hardware wallet.
For a wallet that claims to be about privacy, I don't like that the only login options are Gmail or Twitter. Like, there should be a way to log in. Like, there should be a way to start with like just an email or just nothing, like just nothing at all.
I think though, if you are downloading it through an app store that you've got connected to your email address, it's like
no. That's like a privacy fallacy, bro. That's like saying, because the government knows, like, as in that's a different level that would be required for someone to know your shit, right? Like, as in that's a government threat actor subpoenaing fucking Google to find out what account belongs to who or whatever, right? Not so. I don't think that's a good that kind of falls under the privacy's kind of fucked anyway because the NSA has 0 days into all your devices, so let's just give up. Like, do you know what I mean?
No, I wouldn't use it full stop because I need to download it through an app store that.
You're going the other way. You're going the other way, basically saying even if they did have it so that you can log in anonymously, then it's okay. Sorry, yeah. I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with you.
So you can just load it as an extension in Brave.
I would be using it as a hot wallet. Like on my phone, I would only ever be using that shit as like a hot wallet.
Yeah.
Like, so you just got some funds on there. So if you go to a meetup and someone's there selling like PulseChain t-shirts or some shit, you can just like hot wallet some Pulse to them.
You know, if it's open source or if the code's out there, then you could potentially load it onto like a Graphene OS type setup, and you should be able to do that without logging in to. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. And that was actually a gripe I had with Saker app originally. It's like, why do people need to sign in with a Gmail account? It's like, never made sense to me.
By the way, some good news for privacy is the EU are actually pressuring Apple to allow side loading. So like so that even though obviously the cost to that is like that, it's increases the threat vector for like malicious code to be installed onto devices. It definitely, for power users, it definitely opens the door to having more flexibility.
Which, by the way, I don't actually agree with.
With what side? Because I
don't
both sides.
I don't agree with the EU imposing that shit on a private company. That's their code. They made that code. They should be able to do whatever the fuck they like. If people don't like it, they don't use it.
I guess they're going the anti-competitive.
Yeah, I don't like
it's
that.
It's a tough one.
I'm not a fan of governments getting so involved and into that level of shit. Let the market decide. You know, that seems to work. The market deciding.
But it's that whole thing about like if they're gonna like if they did true free market, then their monopolies could form, like monopolies and duopolies, and actually fuck everyone up. Like Coles and Woolies could like have $1,000 stakes, and there'd be nothing we could do about it. Do you know what I mean? So there's but I agree with you. Like, as in, there's no easy answer. Like, as in, there's a balance to be had. And I'm also against when the governments are starting to try and dictate how you're using code.
Yeah, I don't like governments.
And actually, in this case, it's not like Apple has got the only phone and phone app store, right? Like, I don't know.
See, the way I see it is, they've put a lot of time and effort into developing that ecosystem
and building that protective moat for their products and stuff.
And they would probably argue, like, from a security perspective, having it locked down in that way is like a security benefit for the users.
Absolutely.
So their whole argument would be, like, from that perspective, I can see it, and whether or not
it's kind of fucking up one of their sales pitches, right? It's fucking up one of their narratives, because it used to be people would say, look, if you've got some grandma that doesn't understand tech and is just going to get fucking rinsed as soon as she gets on the fucking device, give them an iPhone and they kind of can't fuck up, because all of the apps are like heavily vetted. But I guess there's ways around it, right? Like, you could have the option is deep in a menu, sub-menu, settings, sub-menu, and it's like got all the warnings being like, hey, turning this on is very dangerous. Only do it if you know what you're doing. But then you get that balance where power users can still use the device how they want, and grandmas don't get fucked up.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Maybe I can be convinced otherwise.
But I mean, as far as like all the dumb shit that governments do, this is one of the ones where it's like, it does have a result that at least it's just not all negatives. Like governments normally, like the shit they do is literally just 100% negative. And at least this one, it's like
usually
at least balance, right?
Fuck shit up. They usually just fuck shit up. That is what they're in the business of. Which brings
I love that quote from that video that you played, the clip at the start, where it said, assume that any power you give will at some point be abused to the maximum feasible amount
against you.
That should be an assumption that should be heavily assumed by all government power, like, because it's Murphy's law, right? If it can happen, it will happen. Like you have to assume that even if everyone that's set that rule in place are all like really well-intentioned, good actors, at some point in the future, it is possible / likely that the person that's got their finger on that button is a piece of shit. And you have to plan for that near certainty.
Yeah. Absolutely. I agree. I definitely agree with that.
And then that theory of like power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, in terms of even someone who genuinely believes they are a good person, when you put them in a position where they have that ultimate control and ultimate power, they start to do the mental gymnastics of, oh, well, I am actually kind of doing this for the greater good. Like, I need, actually, it's kind of almost my moral obligation to like, what if someone ever got, what about, they've created all this power structure. Like, what about if someone ever took this position who was a bad person? I guess I better just make myself the permanent leader just to make absolutely sure, because I'm a good person, but the next guy might not be. So maybe I should just make this a dictatorship where you
can't trust anyone else.
Take the risk away that some bad person might take control. And now you've suddenly got this person that has done the mental gymnastics required to do a full tyrannical dictatorship, and then gets paranoid that people are trying to usurp their power. So they're like spying on every single person. Like, I know what I'm saying sounds pretty out there, but
bro, you were talking to the wrong person to be apologizing for saying that.
That was more for the viewers. Like, but
I think we're already well down that path. Look, I think
this shit's a slippery
slope.
This shit's a slippery slope. It goes quick, man. Like, so you 1 minute someone's taking a step towards tyranny, and then they're just like in a flat out sprint, like just like, yay tyranny, like let's go.
Exactly. And we saw that here we saw that in Melbourne, in the last 3 years. And I know I always go back to that, but I saw it firsthand. I also saw the perspective of people who were completely unfazed by it, which was even more worrying for me.
That was super concerning to me.
Yeah, that
was super concerning.
Really did worry me when there were just people that would just like shrug their shoulders and be like, oh yeah, it's no big deal.
And another quote that came out of that clip: "You can't comply your way out of tyranny."
Exactly. Yes.
I have heard that before, but it's a banger.
It's clearly true. You
Yes,
don't have to.
Clearly true, bro. It's clearly true. It's clearly true.
Yeah, when my kids, listen, this is why it's true, because when my kids like have to do what I say, because I'm the father, and sometimes things have to be done the way I say, because that's just the way shit is in my household.
Yep, to get shit done.
Yeah, to make sure that these kids don't kill each other and just die from running around the place with knives and whatever.
They reckon in the past it was required for survival of the village to have like very strict, like almost dictatorship levels of control, because for you to get through a winter, if you had people fucking around being like, no, I've got human rights, you can't tell me to go and chop wood and shit, everyone dies. Yep. So it's like for the safety and survivability of the fucking community, everyone just goes, okay, we've got, like, the leader tells people what to do, and everyone just goes and gets the shit done, right?
So we've got our scissors are quite high up that there's no way that our kids, maybe the oldest, can get to them. There's no way that our kids can, really
literal
get
scissors.
them.
Yep.
Yeah, actual scissors. But for some reason, the smallest child of mine somehow always has a pair of scissors in her hands, and she's always running. It's like I don't know how
that
this
sounds like a fucking horror movie. Like every time you go and like fucking throw the scissors into some like nearby landfill thing, and you get home and she's just there
She's
with
sitting
another
there.
pair of scissors. You're like, what the fuck? Just slowly, like, just
feels
slowly,
like a horror, mate. It feels like a
slowly
horror
scissoring
movie
it. It's
sometimes.
like-
No, but this is what I'm just like making the point that, in this situation, I understand the tyranny is required in this situation, but when it comes to nation states, and they're just people, these people in power, they're just people like you and me, right?
So-
They're just people. They're adults like you and me.
Yeah.
They do not deserve any added rights, like just rights to move around, rights to be able to assemble without face coverings when they're telling everyone else to wear face coverings, like shit like this. Do you know what I mean? Like just double standard shit.
Dude, by the way, the inspiration where I'm borrowing that statement from was the guy that you recommended to me. I went through and watched his shit. That
Andreessen.
Mark Andreessen.
Yeah.
And he was the one that, and so something
Dude,
that
I
he was
rate
saying
that
that was
guy.
relevant
I like
to
what he
crypto.
has to say.
He was basically saying like there used to basically be these 3 tiers of cults. So you would have the family cult, you would have the village cult, and then the city cult. And it was basically like most things, it was believed that the gods would punish you if you did the wrong thing, and and so there was this the what is it called? Like the myths and the leaders and shit would basically like run these cults, and it was appropriate for survival. And he was basically talking about those cults when he was talking about how to survive the winter and shit like that, you need that cult-like structure. You need that heavy leadership where everyone just like everyone has a strong belief, like very firm belief in this system and these myths and what the leaders tell them. And it's like, yep, if I don't go and chop the wood right now, everybody dies. So I thought that was quite. He's got a lot of interesting points. Thank you for recommending me that
Dude,
person.
I knew
He's got a lot of
you
interesting
would.
points.
Dude, I knew that you would.
By the way, I still disagree with him on
the AI. Yeah,
AI stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not that I thought
heaps of other stuff he said I really
disagree
enjoyed.
with him. I just thought this guy is a smart dude, and he's got a lot of interesting perspectives. And I knew that you would like enjoy listening to what he had to say.
Yeah. He had a heap of really interesting points. One of my favorite ones actually, and I messaged you this, is how dumb and smart people are both susceptible to deception, but it's through a different mechanism. So just because you're smart enough to see the deception that dumb people fall into does not mean you are immune to deception. It just means you're susceptible to a different type of deception. And it was actually quite scary to hear that, because it was like the one that the smart people are susceptible to is it's like you're so smart that you find it easier to do the mental gymnastics required to justify things, like to reconfirm, like to reiterate and confirm your incorrect beliefs, so that you have these, you're smart enough to start like justifying out the shit that you really should be taking into consideration that goes against your worldview, and you're able to like frame and reinforce the shit that fits your worldview and your current fucking thinking. And I was like, dude, that's highly dangerous in crypto, because we have some smart motherfuckers that are really good at framing. And yeah, it's So I thought that was interesting. Interesting theory.
So tell me, like with there's a few things happening in the next few months. Like Christmas is always an interesting time in crypto. Because we need to face all the family that we onboarded in the last couple of years. So that's always fun, right? But also the other thing is that, you know, the documentary is coming out, and
it's out. It's out.
Well, it's out, but I don't know if we can watch it yet in Australia.
Okay. I saw some people in the Tangang chat saying that they've watched it now on Apple. So it's obviously out somewhere.
In the US. It's out in the US. I don't know when we get it in Australia. If there's a way to VPN it and, you know, pretend I'm in the US, I'll do that. If not, we'll have to find...
Is there a way that's non-Apple to access it?
I heard that Amazon Prime is going to have it.
Sick.
That's what I heard. I don't know. I looked and I couldn't find it.
Oh, not so sick.
Yeah, I couldn't see it, and I did VPN into the US through the US. So
what's the opposite of sick? Like oh man, healthy. Oh, that's actually pretty healthy then. So
I can't, like this comment. The documentary is on Prime Video and Apple. I've seen it in the Apple store.
I've seen screenshots of it. On Apple,
I've seen screenshots, but I when I check Prime, it's not there. But once again, I'm in Australia. I've got a clip I want to play. It's like related to Australian politics. I don't in any way, shape, or form align with any of the people depicted in this cartoon. I think I should just make that clear right now. I just thought it was funny.
Handsome boy called Anthony Albanese, and when I'm not stuck being the Prime Minister of Australia, I'm travelling the world non-stop. Welcome aboard Airbus Albo, my travel vlog, and this is episode 18.
Sorry, Albo, responsibility calls.
Oh, but Penny, being Prime Minister sucks. Senator Hansen.
Did you say you couldn't hear it?
Yeah, for me, it still looks like it's loading. It's like a circle spinning around. Can you hear it?
I was watching it.
You have to go to chat because you and I are both not appropriate judges of whether that worked or not.
Guys in the chat, is this cartoon, was it playing? I've paused it now.
People are testing VPNs. People have checked. So Angor says it's not on Prime.
They saw it.
They said they saw it.
Can hear it. Okay. Okay.
Okay. Perfect. For me, it was just a black screen with a spinny thing.
Yep, they're watching.
What have you been up to?
Working.
Oh yeah, well I've been pretty busy too actually, yeah. Traveling around the world. I've been to Cambodia, China, Cook Islands, France, Germany, Lithuania, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, the Philippines, Singapore, Spain, Thailand, Ukraine, UAE, Vietnam, Fiji, India, the UK for a funeral, Indonesia, Japan, and the US 3 times. Whoa! Maxi bonds are 2 for $55. That's so cheap!
No, that's inflation.
Not my fault, I'm going inside. Righto everyone, it's tax time. You all owe me 48.8 cents per litre. How many litres on pump for? 87. That's $42. Give it here. Oh please, give me a break. Interest rates just went up again. I'm struggling to make ends meet. Don't blame me, that's the RBA's fault. Please, stop it. I'm just a humble delivery driver of a truck under 4.5 tonne. I can barely afford fuel as it is. I don't set the price of oil, mate. Cough it up.
Please, I can barely afford my maxi bond.
Hey, inflation's not my fault.
Yes, it is. What do you think you're doing?
I'm just collecting my fuel excise tax.
Oh, stop it. Petrol prices are already over $2 elbow. You're collecting almost a quarter of every tank in tax.
Oh, but if I stop collecting the fuel tax, how am I supposed to afford all the foreign aid spending? What about that $350 million I promised the Cook Islands for climate change? And what about those $600 million for the PNG rugby team? That's what Australians want, right fellas?
No! How's that going to bring down the price of fuel?
Yeah, or interest rates?
Or the price of maxi bonds?
Elbow, Why don't you stop splashing money overseas and start focusing on Australians first? And you could start by not robbing people at the pump, which will ease the cost of living, take the pressure off the supply chain, and bring down the price of maxi bonds.
Yeah. So what do you say, Albo? Hey, where'd he go?
Ah, that's better. Nope. I'm on flight mode.
So you didn't get any of that?
Yeah, dude, for me, that was just a black screen. So, but you can talk about it, like, as in if there's comments you want to make about it. At one point, I was like, fuck, have I dropped out? Like, as in, I thought my internet might have
it was
dropped
just
or something.
it was just like a political cartoon with what was that? What's that lady? What's her name? Hanson?
I saw that it was titled Albo.mp4.
Pauline Hanson.
Oh, yeah, I remember her.
Pauline Hanson.
Is she still relevant?
I think she's a senator.
Jesus, are you serious?
Yeah.
The fuck, bro?
And Anthony Albanese, who's the current Prime Minister.
Oh my God.
Australia. And it was just a cartoon of those. I think it's like Pauline Hanson propaganda, because it was like making her out to be the the voice of reason.
By the way, thanks, bro. Now I can no longer honestly tell people who I don't know the name of the Australian Prime Minister. So
Anthony Albanese, man.
Your life can change in an instant.
Yo, look, I don't know whether the guy's unlucky or he's shit, but I don't think this guy has done anything at all in the whole time he's been. Like, what's the guy done? I think.
Do any of them do anything that's not just like puppet shit?
Yeah, definitely puppet shit. Yeah.
I find it humorous when people are like, "Oh, when my president was in power, it was like the economy was like better, and your president." And I'm just like, "What, dude? What?"
Yep.
First of all, even if you believe that these teams are actually different, the delay in certain aspects of the economy means that it's unlikely that when you're in power, that you're actually responsible for the economy being good. It's probably the 2 or 3 or 4-year terms before that actually are more relevant. So it's probably it's probably wrong anyway. But then underlying that is that none of these fucking puppets actually have any fucking sway over any shit.
I think, look, if that is, I mean, I think a couple of years, if you haven't been able to have some sort of a couple of years.
It depends what it is, right? There's some things are fairly short that can have short-term.
Oh yeah.
But look at when China does 10-year plans, 5-year plans, stuff like that. Like a 5-year plan means the result is 5 years later. That'll be outside the term of what these Western countries have as their political terms. So it's like there's certain aspects of economies that are not gonna. You can't even if you made drastic changes on day one of your 4-year term, you'd barely be having those changes have an impact by the very end of the term, in my opinion. Depends what it is. But yeah, this is why I don't bother with any of that politics shit. I've exited the system, and now I'm doing my own thing.
I think you make a really good
like-minded
point,
individuals.
I think you might make a really, really good point, because I mean, how do you, if you're talking about a country, how do you properly plan for the next 30, 40 years, which need to be planned for, by the way?
Yeah.
If you're a country, you need to have a plan for the next 30 or 40 years. But how does that plan get executed in a way that's not just some goldfish-minded, short-term?
It's that delayed gratification that Richard talks about. It's like you're setting up a political system where, by necessity, there is no delayed gratification, because you only care about your term and getting reelected. So it's like, and obviously delayed gratification for an individual could be on the order of years, but for a fucking country, the timescale needs to be longer than that. So yeah, you're incentivizing a time preference that is not good for the long-term prosperity of the economy and the country. That's why we exit. That's why we do crypto. We get like-minded individuals and we create our own Ponzi-nomics, because our made-up imaginary internet Ponzi is better than your fiat Ponzi.
An interesting debate is whether like the Chinese system ends up being better for the country because they have just one person who's like, yo, fuck everything.
All right, slow down, Trudeau. Fucking...
No, that's not the way I don't feel that is the way to go.
There's pros and cons. Like there's definitely pros and cons, right?
The cons are that everyone lives a shit life because of it. Like that is the con.
So the ultimate leader, like the best leader, is a benevolent dictator.
Yes.
So a benevolent dictator is but that shit doesn't exist. Like, so
no, it has existed.
So, sorry.
Existed. In history,
yes, in rare points in history, but even if you look at that en masse and say, judging by what this person achieved and what they did and what they said and what was said about them, that they were a benevolent dictator, you don't know that they didn't also, in a small way, use that power. Like, so I'm talking like an unrealistic level of benevolence where it's like God mode.
Are you talking some Cosby shit?
Maybe some AI shit where it's like, there is no level of like, well, I'm doing so much good, I'll just take a little bit off for me and my family and stuff, like as in true selflessness from the benevolent
it's like
dictator.
The Cosby shit.
Because the dictator part is important because then you can get shit done, right? So like the problem with the dictatorship normally is that it's run by a human who becomes corrupted with the power. So it's this paradox. It's this paradoxical leader.
Even if they don't get corrupted by it, let's just say, hey, there was one benevolent dictator who, all the stars aligned and they were able to be good to the people and for everyone's benefit, and it was just good. The problem is that the next guy, it's very unlikely that guy is also going to be good.
Absolutely,
and a benevolent dictator. So it's
a very naive hypothetical that actually can't exist. Not even for one person, let alone as an ongoing system that you're relying on to be the long-term health. So we make these compromises. I have very slowly been getting less less angry at these things and looking at them more as compromises, where it's like we have to make compromises and like it could be worse.
Yeah,
it could be worse. Like
it could be worse. It could be. There's a lot of places where it's worse.
There's a lot of places that,
but it can also easily get worse here, like easily, because it's so good here. That just means that there's more scope for it to get worse here more easily.
And it could, and there's potential for improvement as well. So, and I think crypto is going to be a big part of that.
Yeah.
So before we, because we've been going for a bit now,
before
we get too deep into the episode 140, before we get too deep in the episode, I wanted to shout out, we did a mint party for NFT on Pulse. So there's an ecosystem. Again, this one is Tangang related, but there's an ecosystem which includes NFT on Pulse, which in my opinion is the best NFT marketplace on PulseChain currently. And there's various reasons for that. It's not just because it's Tangang. That I won't get into because it's probably going to be too time consuming. But one of the main ones is that you don't have to like go back and collect the funds from sold NFTs. Like when the NFT gets sold, it just goes into your account. So they created an NFT collection partly to demonstrate this NFT generator. So they've created an NFT generator called nftgenerator.io, where anyone can go in and in a user-friendly fashion add the elements and then create one of these like generative art NFT collections. And then they've generated their own NFT collection using that generator to demonstrate how it can work, and also to raise funds for the ongoing development of these platforms. And also it has like an ability for the people who hold those NFTs to earn like revenue from these various protocols within the ecosystem, right? So I'm probably butchering this a little bit, but there's the NFT generator, there's the NFT marketplace, and then I think there's a couple of other websites. There's another one. There's one. Is it GoPulse? I think GoPulse is also in that same ecosystem.
Okay.
Which is a very well-known, like it's a very, very, very well-known.
I feel like that's the best. I feel like that's the best portfolio tracker.
Yes. GoPulse. GoPulse is by the same dev team, and it's like extremely well-known, like in the community. It was there on testnet.
I really think that's the best Pulse, just general Pulse site where you can swap on it. Even though I prefer to use Petitions, but it's got that portfolio tracker, which is elite compared to everything else, because you can add in multiple addresses and it just aggregates everything. And it's if you're happy to trust, that, happy to put your addresses in a website, then I think it's the best.
So basically that, a lot of people didn't realize that it was the same dev team that did all these different things. Now with GoPulse, there were people early on that were theorizing that was actually Richard's site because it was that good, and I'm pretty sure Richard actually shouted it out. So that's how good that site is, and how in line with the aesthetics and the mission statement and the usability that you would typically expect from like a Richard Hart product.
Like they should just host. Don't you think they should just host all the? Like they should just host all the Richard Hart, in quotation marks, Richard Hart sites, like just on their own GoPulse. They should have a HEX staking site on there, which they probably already do. I should. You know what? I'm going to bring.
There's a HEX tab. There's a HEX tab here. Oh, you need to connect your wallet. So it says manage your HEX stakes, and it says connect wallet. So there is already a HEX site within this site. Or also. These guys have leaned in very heavily to the Tang gang. So I think they've kind of got an attitude that while they are elite devs, like they are gigabrain devs that could probably build like whatever you want, they're not actively looking to compete with other people that are already killing it in the Tang gang ecosystem, such as 9mil, Pussycat Farms, Bullish's own website, or not Bullish's website, but the Tang gang website, which has now hosted all the front ends. If someone in the Tang gang is already doing it, these guys are probably not going to do it, like as in not spend the dev time to do something that's already being done by someone in the Tang gang. So the point is that this crypto bum, so they've got this NFT collection called Crypto Bums. And now I'm starting to see why there were so many people buying them already. So 10% of them have already been minted out, nearly. Like I think somewhere between 8 and 10% have already been minted out. And they're going to partially work a little bit like how the Watsa NFTs worked, where so you get this picture, like you get a NFT, it's a picture, but built into the NFT is this drip feed of any revenue that any of these sites that are within this ecosystem earn. But you can only claim the revenue out of the NFT once. And then after that, you no longer can get the revenue. So there's like this war of attrition, right? Like it's like the Watsa ones. It's like last man standing gets the most benefit, right? So, and And critically, so we had this Twitter space. It was recorded, by the way, so I won't bore you guys with all the details. If you're interested, go to, I think it's either Bullish's, I think it was Bullish that hosted the space. And so we ask him questions and we go through all the different stuff. But ultimately, I think the big ticket items worth mentioning are all of his sites have organic Google rankings, first page Google ranks. So his sites typically rank, between like 2 to 5 in the organic search results when you search for various things that relate to that shit. So if you're looking for an NFT generator or like an AI NFT generator or an AI art generator or any shit like that, his site is like dominant in the search results. And same with the NFT marketplace and that sort of thing. So eventually these protocols are going to be multi-chain, so they're going to be earning fees across like all different chains. The level of iteration and innovation that they have done, whenever anyone suggests anything where they're like, oh, hey, I like your marketplace, but I would really like this feature, they nearly build it instantaneously. Like they're just like, yep, done, go and check it out, we've put that feature in. So that just like another thing I'm going to shout out, which is InvestDex. Both of those teams, InvestDex team and the NFT on Pulse teams, have got this obsession with listening to community feedback and implementing features, if possible, and as fast as possible. So, take like if you guys are interested, go and take a look. The website for that is. The Crypto Bums Mint page is like nftgenerator.io/crypto-bums.
Can they get that from NFT on pulse.io?
As in, can you get there? Like, can you?
If you know NFT on Pulse and you just go to that website, can you get to this?
That's a good question, because it's obviously by the same team. So you would hope that
they would link to it.
And that might be a safer way for people to go there without fucking up the URL and stuff. You know what? I'm going to suggest that to him, because it doesn't, like, when you land on the page, there is no, hey, like, currently minting. Maybe it's deliberate where he doesn't want to promote the minting of his own collection, their own collection, over community ones. But I personally think that's a good idea, man. I'll mention that to him.
And what was that website? What is that website?
Which one?
The one that you were saying.
Oh, that's where you can go to mint. So the Crypto Bums NFTs, these ones that are going to be basically representative, they're effectively going to be the WhatsApp of, and it's not quite the same dynamics as a WhatsApp, because it's different, right? Like, as in with WhatsApp, you chose the scale of how big you wanted it. This one is like it's like a fixed unit, right? If you want a bigger one, you have to just buy multiple NFTs. And what else is different from WhatsApp?
So what's the website for the Crypto Bums?
The Crypto Bums, it's nftgenerator.io/crypto-bums. So that's what's interesting about this is, so the fees, so the NFT generator also earns fees, but he's done it in like, so the way that this guy structures things in terms of tokenomics and costs and things really appeals to me. So with the NFT generator, I'm pretty sure it's free to use, but then there's a small percentage when as the NFTs are actually getting minted. So basically someone can create a collection at nearly no cost, or it might be just some very minimal cost. It might be like $50 or something, like as a one-time fee to use the generator. But if your NFT collection, if you think you've got this idea that's going to be really popular and then no one buys your NFTs, you're not in the hole for like thousands of dollars, which is how most NFT generators operate. You have to pay thousands of dollars to use them and hope that your shit is successful enough for you to recoup those costs. Whereas this one has a very, very, very minimal fixed fee, and then takes a small percentage out of each mint that you do. So, and I'm not sure whether that then feeds into the ongoing royalties or not. Maybe, but probably not. I think it's just in the minting process. So,
okay.
And some
so
of those fees,
they don't get like a percentage of everything in perpetuity.
I'm actually not sure about the answer to that question, but I don't think so. I don't think there's an ongoing royalty. But
you would think that minting on PulseChain should be bloody cheap anyway. That was the whole thing about PulseChain.
Well, but we're talking about two different. There's the transaction fee, like the gas fee, and then there's the like whether there's like a royalty or a marketplace fee or this minting fee. So these are all different fees. Like this is a different. There's like a stack of fees, sort of thing. So
the royalties,
usually they're quite small. Normally they're quite
royalties
small.
in NFTs were like the reason they were sort of built into them is for the
artist,
the creator to always get, every time it's sold, they would always get like a percentage of the sale.
Yes.
So that they're always getting something out of it forever. Every time it changes hands.
Yes.
That's the idea behind it.
So with this, quite a large portion of the fees, I think it might be 40 or 60%, it might even be 100, I'm not sure, goes to like this pool, and that pool of fees belongs to the NFT holders. And so, and by the way, so right now that pool is growing right now because this particular NFT collection is being minted through the NFT generator. So even just the mint out of this collection is already allocating Pulse into that pool. And then that pool belongs to all of the NFTs, even the ones that haven't been minted yet. So this is very different to like reflections type NFT mints, where the earlier you mint it, the better, because then every subsequent mint after that, the people who already own them are getting like reflections. This one's fair. It doesn't matter whether you're the first person to mint or the last person to mint. Your share of that pool is going to be equal. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And it also means that at some point, theoretically, if this mint goes on long enough, at some point, theoretically, the value that is actually inside these NFTs could start to approximate what the cost of the actual NFT is, which by the way is 1 million Pulse. And if that happens, if we get to that point, then this is just going to instantaneously mint out, because people will be like, okay, well, I'm buying something for 1 million Pulse, which is about to become worth more than 1 million Pulse. So like, I don't even think we're going to get there, because as people see that that's the trajectory it's going on, it's going to mint out. So I see this as probably something that's probably going to be a bit similar to the Pulse OGs, that once people realize the value and the game theory, they're perhaps going to look back on this and regret that they didn't mint more of these things. But it's already minting very quickly, right? Like we only had the mint party, like just over 12 hours ago, and it's almost 10% minted. So, So I just thought I'd shout that. I just thought I'd shout that out.
For those of you interested in NFTs,
but it's not just if you're interested in NFTs. It's interested if you're in want to be like a part of an actual ecosystem that's actually going to be that I think is quite good. That's quite dominant. That people have been using without realizing it, right? Like that GoPulse website. So the devs deliberately didn't umbrella all their protocols into like one branded ecosystem where they're like, this is our ecosystem brand and here's our blah, 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 blah. They deliberately kept it separate so that each protocol could stand up under the scrutiny in its own right, that people wouldn't just go, oh, I like that brand, so I'm just going to support that protocol, right? Every single protocol they launched had to actually make sense and work out on the economics, the tokenomics, or whatever. Like they didn't have tokenomics, by the way, but each of these protocols had to like succeed in its own right without the brand association. And then now they're bringing them all up together under the umbrella of this NFT project. So I think it's quite interesting, and it's the second large ecosystem that's within the Tang game.
There was another NFT marketplace that actually came out not too long ago, Mintra, and the way they did it was they would take ownership of the NFTs, and
this one doesn't do that. Like,
yeah. Well, people
Mintra
actually
changed that, by the way, under social pressure. Mintra changed.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. They actually came out and said, "Look, we're going to change it because, it just wasn't. I guess people didn't feel like they wanted to have their NFTs locked into one platform."
Yeah, there were multiple problems with it. Like the artists didn't like it, the users didn't like it. So the people selling NFTs, they didn't like the fact that then suddenly that NFT is not showing up in their wallet. So it's like they don't own it.
You want the freedom of listing it on as many different
and you can't
things
list
as
on
possible.
multiple exchanges and stuff like that. That was all a problem. But also, quite critically, is we are seeing an increasing amount, and this is being driven primarily by the Tang Gang, that we are seeing an increasing amount of actual not like observable utility being built into these NFTs, either by trustless code or by social consensus, right? So people saying, I'm going to manually airdrop the token that I'm creating to NFT holders of this collection, or an NFT gets built where it's got some kind of, like, reflections are an example, stuff, but that's not a very good example because there's better tokenomics and shit than reflections. But if you are handing your NFT over to a smart contract for that purpose, then all those benefits that you would normally get for holding that NFT, whether it's token gating, airdrops, reflections, like all the stuff that normally happens when you hold the NFT, you don't get them. The smart contract.
It's like holding your tokens on an exchange. You don't get the airdrops.
Exactly. So it breaks one of the most important things of holding the NFT is the social cloud, the token gating, all of these features, and some of these like coded features. You don't have those while you've got your shit listed for sale if it's on a platform like that. So I was surprised. Mintra stepped up and like changed all their switched over so that it no longer has that like
they're going to change the contract or whatever. They're changing the whole thing.
I think they might still keep that existing structure for auctions. So if you put something up for auction, it gets locked so that the people that are bidding on that piece know that if they're the winner, they get it. Yeah. Because otherwise, you could win an auction and the NFT could have been moved or sold on a different marketplace or whatever. So that's the use case where it is fair to force a lock. But then there should be also warnings, which I think they're going to do, where it warns them, hey, if you participate in this, your NFT is not going to be in your wallet. It means you're going to miss out on airdrops and blah, 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 blah. So
Yep. All right, good, man. Good. Now, just one last thing I want to quickly mention before I wind it up. Let me just bring it up. Have a look at this. I know that you're not like a massive fan about talking about these petitions and all these things that people have to do.
That's cool.
This is a good one. This is the petition for to give your support to the amicus brief that's being submitted.
Is this the one that Sammy was promoting in lots of the telegrams?
I think so. I think so. Now, so far, there's just under 30,000 signatures, which is pretty crazy. If you think about it, almost 30,000 people have signed this. So if you haven't, make sure you go in and have a read of it. You can read the petition. You can click on that, and it's got the actual petition here, the brief here. So by signing it, you are lending your support to that amicus brief, and it's I think the reason that's something worth doing is because XRP community did a very similar thing, and the judge ruled in favor on the basis of that amicus brief. So if we can do the same thing in our community, that would not be a bad thing. So I'm looking forward to this documentary. I hope we get a chance to see it in the coming week. I'm dubious, mate. I'm dubious, but fingers crossed.
Hey, while you were doing, I think we're going to be fine. Like everything's going to be fine. I was just scanning the comments, and Ash noted that it takes a long time with Rabi and this IPFS thing. So remember that while that thing's spinning around, it's actually downloading and installing all the files. So that's normal. Like, so it eventually worked for him. And so I thought it's worth mentioning so that people don't freak out that it's like not working or it's broken or that they need to shut it down. If you're doing that IPFS thing, just give it time. One of them, I think the one that was slowest for me was actually the DEX. The other ones were a little bit faster. And yeah, I just thought that because so many people have put this effort into like comment on this, that I would just, Klaz is bullish. I'm also bullish. Did you want to also scan the comments and just see if there's anything that we should answer / respond to?
I've kept an eye on them.
So
pretty much.
There's a stack of cope. There's a stack of cope on the timeline. Yep. So we did that. People saying we need to raise awareness about certain things that we absolutely did talk about quite a lot in this stream. So that's great. People are calling us thought leaders. That's great. Yeah, these comments are awesome. So
I'm not sure I agree with that.
I'm bullish.
I'll take it.
Yeah. By the way, thought leader doesn't mean financial advice. Just to be clear. Just to be clear.
Not sure about the whole thought leader thing.
So yeah, there's a bunch of cool shit, dude. Can I actually? This one of these comments in here just reminded me I need to pull something up. I sent to the Tang Gang like a list of things that are making me like hyper bullish on PulseChain. Let me just see if I can quickly find it. But basically, what's the fastest way to search this shit?
I can't, dude. I'm finding it hard to believe someone actually wrote that we're thought leaders. I don't believe it.
So
where is that?
So yeah. Sorry, man. I'm just gonna, because I've got like a billion messages here. I just want to grab my most bullish sentiment. Okay, here we go. Got it. Right. Oracle went live. That's going to facilitate a whole bunch of projects that claimed that it was the Oracle that was holding them up. That's fucking amazing. So Fetch Oracle is live. That's fucking phenomenal. I'm personally hoping that gives us dollar values in the 9 mil scanner. So 9mm is the best and will remain the best scanner on PulseChain. So it's scan.9mm.pro. That is that's quite clear now that that's going to be the best scanner. And so 9 mil, obviously same team about to launch their V3 DEX. That's pretty fucking epic. I want to see these dollar values on the like when you fold down your token list, so that rather than it being ranked by the number of tokens, I want to see it ranked by the dollars, which hopefully is something that Oracle allows to happen. Because if that wasn't the Oracle that was stopping that from happening, I don't know what was. So a bunch of like unique NFT experiences are happening. I won't go into them. We don't have time, but just if you're interested, join the Tang Gang Telegram or the Tang Gang website, hexoacoin.com, because there's like NFTs now with like audio reactive paint, and there's ones that are like 3D AI shit. It's fucking crazy, right? So prices are pumping. Like we've seen prices pump. I know PulseChain's been down over the last few days, but who cares? Like, as in the trend is up. We've put in a lower low. Thought leaders have refined their philosophy and delivery. Like I've noticed that key people who I like to listen to, their delivery and the depth of what they talk about has improved through the last year or more. And so we have got some absolutely lethal speakers now who can articulate the critical aspects that just, and one of the things I've noticed that's improved is some people have come into the community. There are ETH devs that have come to PulseChain because of the Tang Gang, who are, they understand the degen culture and the NFT bros and the degens that are on ETH. And they understand that you can't be explaining stuff in like really long-winded explanations. You've got to be able to just like smash. And so that's one improvement that I'm noticing, that people are getting their kill shots, so that they might explain more later, but it's like kill shot. This is why this is why PulseChain's the best. Kill shot. And then if you want more info, then we can get into it. So that's really good.
Yes, because that's always the challenge. You don't know the level, the level that your audience is at. You don't know what they understand, what they don't understand.
You have to lay down the hard facts in 1 or 2 sentences and then allow the person to ask questions. If you're launching into some shit because we get this nerd echo chamber where we all love talking about the tech and we all love like debating the fucking shit. Whereas it's like, you've just got to lay the kill shots like you're talking to a kid or a high person, where they don't have the mental longevity, like they don't have the attention span to listen to you explain the Nakamoto consensus algorithm. Like you have got to lay down the hard facts quickly and simply.
Agreed.
So one of the ones I've got listed here is we've got a bunch of pathetic haters, which is really good because there are people that love drama, right? So when you've got pathetic haters that are easy to dunk on and they're easy to meme and they're easy and they're relentless, right? Like it doesn't matter how much you shut them down, you crush them, you make them look like absolute fools. We've been doing it like often. They just come back. They just come back for more.
Just before you go on, I've got a clip for drama.
Okay.
Drama.
I mean, that would be a good one to just drop on, like when people are doing like timeline battles or whatever. You can just drop that shit in there to like.
There's a bit of a story behind that, you know. That
it was Tom Cruise.
But that wasn't Tom Cruise. That's Tom Cruise, yeah. But I found that little clip of him, and I thought it sort of worked. But that voice was someone who sent me, like I sent them a message, and he sent me there was a bit of like I was explaining to him a situation, and he sent me that voice clip back, and I just thought this is too perfect not to somehow repurpose into the stream. So that's why that exists.
Yeah,
and guy and the guy who did that has no idea.
So okay, the person whose voice it is.
Yeah, they don't know.
Okay,
I'll tell them one day.
Okay. Yeah, that was pretty much it. Because the last point was just like how much stuff the Tang Gang is cooking, which is like pretty obvious to anyone that's in the group. So,
what's your Bitcoin? Give me a Bitcoin prediction.
Up.
Top of the ball. Yes, the top of the ball.
Up.
What's your? Yes, I know, but where is it? Where is it gonna?
I think on Crypto 7. I think on Crypto 7, I gave a range between 150 and 500k, and I think that's quite reasonable to have a range that wide for the fact that the blow off tops of bull markets, if it even occurs, if a blow off top happens, I'm not saying it definitely will, but if there's a blow off top, you can see 2, 3, 4x just pumps in that last point. So effectively 150 and 500k are the same prediction. It's really just saying,
yes,
it's 150 plus or minus a blow off top. Like plus a blow off top.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
So
it's just like when people say, if someone says, $7 hex, and you go, that's impossible. It's like, well, it could go to that
$2. That could be like, exactly. That could be like
$1
plus
and then from
$2
it goes to $7 and back in like the course of 3 days. And very few people catch it,
Now I'll tell you where I differ from other people. Right. And this is people that I respect. So I had people in the Tang Gang who disagreed with me that we were entering the hyperbull and they thought that it was just another bull trap. They have now pretty much come around. I don't hear people saying that anymore in the Tang Gang. However, there are still people in the Tang Gang that disagree with me on the time frame. They think that we're not going to have the proper part of the bull market till 2025 at the earliest.
Yep.
And I just think that's unlikely.
It's coming earlier.
Because this shit, it's a parabola, right? Like as soon as so I've identified that, in my opinion, I believe we've entered the start of the hyperbolic part of the bull market, right? We've been bull market all year in terms of the slow upward grind, and now we're starting to accelerate. And once that happens, you don't have months and months and months and months, like, because it's
happening.
It's to the square, like it's got an exponent, like as in it's not linear. So as soon as it starts, you're on a clock because it's going to accelerate like fuck. So I wouldn't be surprised if the actual top of the bull could be middle of next year, like, and potentially maybe that's like the earliest that it could happen. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's somewhere between the middle and the end of next year.
Yep.
But other people think that it's like that we're not even starting the bull market properly until like
and what goes when do you think, like, and you're talking about Bitcoin there? You're talking about
crypto broadly,
yeah, because I mean,
but remember that even if when they have
will the alts follow,
that's usually only plus or minus months to that. Like the Bitcoin top and the market top or the altcoin top is like, it's not like a year apart, right?
No,
like as in you're not going to have a
closer.
So it doesn't really matter whether they happen at the same time or one happens just before or just afterwards. That prediction is going to be within plus or minus a month.
Do you think, like, and we will wind it up now because we've been saying we're going to wind it up for about 40 minutes, but do you think like the Pulse HEX ecosystem, I mean, it's going to move together, I believe, but do you think that that's going to be come after Bitcoin does its blow off top? If
Recent history have had them quite close together. So Pulse has been pumping when Bitcoin's been pumping, and
2021 we had May to 65k for BTC, and then we had like August, September for HEX, and then what did we go? It was November for BTC, or I think November. So HEX was in the middle of that. But that double top in Bitcoin, it was not a usual. That was not a normal thing. Have we seen that before? I don't think so.
I think what's more important, because people shouldn't be. I'm not going to say people shouldn't be. It's a very high risk to do train jumping shit, right? So if we assume that people aren't being retarded and trying to like they're in crypto, but they're trying to switch between coins as like each one pumps and like, oh, I'll hold Bitcoin for that and then go back to HEX. And so then all you care about is the shit going to pump hard or not? It's not about like what order and by how much and shit. It's like, I hold Bitcoin, I hold HEX, I hold PulseChain. Are these things going to fucking pump, bro? And it's like, my opinion, and I'm borrowing this from Cookies, is Richard Hart's provenance will carry a lot of weight in the bull market when everything is going up anyway. That added provenance is going to mean that the Richard Hart official tokens, probably with the exclusion of Inc., because it's a forever emission incentive coin. And by the way, actually, just to slot in a Pussycat Farm shill, OG has broken the tokenomics of a typical yield farm, just totally smashed it, thanks to the artists and creatives and talent within the Tang Gang. If you look at that chart, it does not look anything like any of the other yield farm tokens that have ever existed on any chain. It's fucking incredible, absolute miracle. But the point is that if we exclude Inc. and we just look at Pulse X, HEX, and Pulse, I am confident that they will pump, and their performance will they might not be the best performers because there might be some dark horse shitcoin that we haven't even heard of yet, like some new cycle version of Shiba Inu, right? That could be HOA, by the way, but the point is, you've always got to factor in risk reward. And if you're looking at something where you want the low risk, high potential reward, the RH coins are brilliant, particularly because Pulse and Pulse X, and you could even argue PHEX, are first cycle coins, which are the ones where it's like, hey guys, in a first cycle, that's where you don't have bag holders, you don't have overhead resistance, you've got everyone's imagination cranking. Then you've got, then you also throw in bonded liquidity between Pulse and the hexes and Pulse and PulseX, and it's just like, dude, like, do you want to get really fucking rich with nearly no risk, or do you want to go way out on the risk curve and try and get like double or 3 times as rich with 50 fucking thousand times? So yeah, way more, a bit more rich with fucking heaps more risk. It's like, where do you want to be on the risk curve? And I think RH coins have a brilliant
in terms of
ratio.
crypto risk, they are on the lower end for sure.
Yes, this is assuming that what you're investing in is within crypto, and this is assuming that well, I mean, there's a bunch of assumptions here, and obviously nothing I ever say is tailored financial advice for any individual. I'm literally just making broad statements that someone might want to consider, but these are powerful comments, in my opinion, that point to RH products being definitely worth holding in this bull market, in the hyper bull section of this bull market.
Hey, Claz just said can buy Thos in Australia from Google Play Store. Apparently.
What?
Apparently.
Say what? That's dope. I'd be about that. Is it a similar price to the Apple one, or is it?
I think they'll all be the same price. Yeah.
Same price.
It should
Unless
be.
Apple takes a cut or some shit. So yeah, man. Sorry to go on. You know, I'm known for having the longest outros in all.
Longest outros in the game.
Outros. Shout out the Tangang. Shout out HOA. The longest outros in all of crypto. We're gaining viewers. We're gaining viewers as I fucking do it, bro.
Guys, before we wind up, make sure you click the subscribe if you haven't already, and thumbs up. And if you can, put a comment down the bottom. Or just do something. Just do something that makes the algorithm think, hey, these guys are special. Even if we're not.
Shout out the yacht community. The yacht community are fucking incredible. Bullish actually identified that the yacht community actually has people in it that are not in the Tangang. So the yacht community has become its own ecosystem, which is absolutely incredible. And there's a community constructed website for the yacht coin, or for the yacht ecosystem, that actually also, he's just said, also has the link for like hosting the scanner, I guess. So check that out, like as in tgyacht.com, I think it is, for the quite extensive menu that system has. And that will be my final outro. I'll just make sure I got that domain correct. Oh, it's on all streaming platforms except for Netflix. $5. Oh, you were wrong, 43. God damn. That's like a third of the price, brother.
Where is this?
Damn. I've just featured the comment.
No, but
$4.99, baby. I'm assuming she's
it.
still talking about Google. Thanks, Claz.
I need to see it with my own eyes, you know.
Well, I'm looking at the yacht website right now. So tgyacht.com, and under the More tab, there is all the links for utilities and tools. Yeah, you can just get to all the shit. 9mm scanner, the 9mm DEX. You can get a nice orange border for your profile picture if you want to show that you're in support of the Tangang. You know, that orange border could be quite the, like, as in having an orange border around your PFP could actually save your life on the timeline, in the sense that you might not get like memed into irrelevance if people see that you are waving the friendly orange flag. So yeah. Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me, Bullish. We're going to be doing, I still need to sort this out, but we're going to have a really cool border for people who want to like show that they're part of the yacht community, which will be like a gold wreath. Like it will be kind of, and you know what? That one might actually look quite Christmassy as well. So I'll get my ass into gear and get that sorted. obviously no promises of future work, but we should hopefully have that soon. You still there, 43?
Yeah. I'm just trying to find this highest of stakes. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go do right now. Thanks, dude. Thanks for coming on. And I'm pretty sure this would have been a much shorter stream had you not come on.
Oh, yeah. Where's everyone else?
Bluey said he couldn't make it. Sammy couldn't make it either. And yeah, that was it. And
Well, I've really enjoyed the chat, man. And I sometimes find that, especially with how much I fucking run my mouth, having less people on the stream can help.
Can help with that.
help with giving me more fucking airtime. No, I'm just kidding. So yeah, dude, fucking let's trigger it. Let's fucking trigger all these haters.
Thanks to everyone in the chat.
Shout out the haters, man. Shout out the haters. You know, wait, RG3 had the NFT on Pulse devs on Discourse Syndicate, like very recently. About what's going on in the Tang Gang and that sort of thing. And he said, I love everyone in the community, even the haters, because they actually get me to check myself and they get me to improve and they get me to like push myself to be even better. And I was like, that's such a great attitude, like that. So
yeah, man.
The haters they're fun to dunk on. They create amusement because it's just like you can laugh at how pathetic their shit is, and you also get to, if there's even like some tiny shred of something where there is some truth to it in their criticism, then we get to improve ourselves. So it's like these haters bring multiple benefits to us. So shout out the haters, man.
Shout out haters. We'll see you guys next week. Take it easy.
See you.